Previously on Top Photographer.
Congratulations, photographers. You've made it to the final challenge on Top Photographer. Now it's up to you and only you to show me what you're worth.
We get to do whatever we want, wherever in New York we want. You too.
The location that popped into my head was the Oculus.
The Meatpacking District is like old New York, it's cobblestone streets.
Beautiful. Good, hop, hop, hops.
Pieces were falling into place. Yes! Oh, it's so good.
Toby,
bright.
I love it.
We made it. I think this might be the one.
If I was turning a page, I would stop at this.
3, 2, 1, done. Well done, both of you. Tomorrow, one of you will have the chance of becoming top photographer. I get some rest.
Oh my gosh. Good luck. Good morning, guys. All right, so today is the decision day.
And there's just 2 of us left.
Yesterday, I feel like I had a really great shoot, and you know, today I'm kind of just preparing mentally for what's to come.
Just trying to kind of wrap up my whole experience here and have like a really good Roxy photo.
I'm excited to see Roxy's image too, because I know how she can just come out of left field with, you know, something crazy.
Whatever happens downstairs in a little bit is all right with me.
Give me your best judgment, Nigel.
Who is the winner?
So yeah, wish me luck.
Every time I go down those stairs, my heartbeat, like a pounding on the walls, heartbeat.
Photographers, how are you feeling? A little nervous?
It's not nerves. It's like a roller coaster. Excited.
Well, this is the final moments of Top Photographer. I want to say a big thank you to you two. You both performed extraordinarily well. When I first saw your portfolios, I knew there was something in both of you that was unique and special. Your own personality shone through, both on camera, but also in your pictures. It's been a real pleasure for me to get to know you both and to call you friends now. So I'd like to introduce you to your guest judges. Supermodel and co-owner of Nomad Management, Coco Rocha.
Nice to meet you guys.
Let me also introduce you to our second guest judge, the editor-in-chief of Yahoo Style, Josie.
Hi, hi, hi.
Both of these titans in my industry are here to really weigh in on not just the photo from your last challenge, but your entire body of work that you have shot on Top Photographer.
I was expecting, you know, walk in, final image, that was gonna be our critique. And then they just redug all that stuff back up that's been eating me up all week long.
We're going to start with your very first challenge, the sports action picture with Miles Chamley-Watson. Roxy, you up first. Roxy's rocked this competition since the beginning. Right out of the gate, Roxy did an incredible shot of Miles Chamley-Watson for our sports challenge. She took her signature style of chaos in a picture, but focus on the subject, and it was brilliant.
3,
5 seconds.
2, 1.
I love this picture because I love the idea of the action. So much of sports photography can be very sort of posed action pictures. And what I loved about this is that you actually step back and you can actually see a lot of the elements of the room behind it. And it feels very much like a moment. Even the red pipe across the ceiling sort of goes with the swoosh in his shoe. Like all of those little things may not have been what you were intending, but those are the things that I see. On the counter side, I want to say, like, does he get lost? Like, are we now talking too much about the room and the environment and everything else? And it's less about the person.
It's almost as if you're suggesting, is this a picture within the story, but it's not really the cover shot?
Exactly. Yes, I do love the elements around it, but have the elements of the room taken over.
I'd love to have a look at Scott's photo. Scott came to the competition with loads of personality. He knows how to take a great shot, but in the sports challenge, he literally was a soaking mess.
That there, like, to keep this motion, we're gonna have to...
That's a lot of light setups.
Is your background, your love, is it fashion photography?
And I started doing a lot of natural light sportswear kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I guess my expertise nowadays is. But I do love fashion.
That's probably why I feel like I'm getting a very fashion moody, and I like it looking beautiful. I like it looking raw. The one problem with this is if you really wanted it to be about being his body, you should have then cut far more into his stomach and not at the kneecap. It frustrates me because it is a beautiful, moody photo, and I think you brought two worlds together amazingly, but you just need to figure out where everything should have been cut.
It's very powerful, it's very strong. I think you needed him to put his arm there and move that arm back. So for me, it's less about being in the moment, but being precise. And that can have its good things and its bad things, I think.
I think it's amazing, actually, Joe, how what you just said really actually broke down his process too. It's as if you were there. You had him jump into that position over and over again as a setup shot. It wasn't just an accidental moment. Now, you both did an advertising campaign for Pamela Rowland. Roxy, let's have a look at your shot.
For the fashion challenge, it was a great shot for Roxy, but not right for Pamela Rowland.
I love this shot. I wish it won, because I think now knowing you a little bit and seeing all your photos, I've noticed that you kind of do capture moments.
This is the thing about fashion advertising in a way that's almost different than editorial. In editorial, we can have 10 pages to tell a story. In fashion advertising, you have one. It has to be a thing that gets me to stop. And I think I would stop to look at that, but that being said, I think the moment is a little bit lost in how cluttery I think that even the background can be. I wish the dress and her would have been much more of a focal point.
Scott, let's have a look at your shot.
Scott did a lot better for me in the fashion challenge. He took a risk. He cropped into the picture, but it showed great detail. And for me, it was a strong shot that could have been a campaign.
I think my first instinct from this picture, you were so intent on having her specifically pose the way you needed her to pose. Like I could almost see you walking over there saying, here, put your arm up here. Wait, put the other one and lean forward. Everything gets so thought out, you've lost any humanity about what that is.
You two are like the opposites, so that's fun. When I hear that that's how you work, you and I would not be friends. We would not work well if you started to tell me that like, just a little, and just a little. She is very placed, it's beautiful. You're selling the product. In the end, who's paying you? It is the client.
There's an incredible amount of professionalism about you, about the way you work. But at the same time, you have a lot of nerves and a lot of energy. Your third challenge was, of course, the landscape photography, where you went to the private deck on the Empire State Building at the crack of dawn to capture what we hoped was going to be a unique, iconic picture. Let's have a look at yours, Roxy.
Roxy has a very unique personality. She's very in touch with herself and with her surroundings and with other people. And I think all of that came out with the landscape challenge. Up there on top of the Empire State Building, with the wind rushing past her, with the concept of being on top of the world. And I think it all perhaps got to her, because unfortunately, she forgot to set her camera settings.
Did you manage to locate your RAW files?
I didn't. I checked the original folder and they're all JPEG.
You're all JPEG? Mm-hmm. You shot all in JPEG?
I realize now that I did do that.
Ouch.
That looks beautiful. I love, it looks like Legos. I almost love like the idea of the fog coming up, but that isn't fog, is it?
It was the railing on where we were standing.
Was that intentional or was that a mistake?
I was actually trying to do something cool with a slow shutter speed, but once I looked at it, I was like, okay, this is it, and it became intentional. But
I'm gonna tell you right now, I love mistakes. I built an entire career on making mistakes in pictures because I think the mistakes is what's so beautiful. And I think what you've done here is actually a beautiful mistake.
I don't like the mistake.
You don't like the mistake?
I don't like the mistake. To me, when I first saw it without knowing the story, I just thought you put some weird filter on top.
Okay, Scott, you're up next.
Scott's a brilliant photographer. He can get very excited, he can get very passionate, and that passion boils over and often affects his actual workflow. So what Scott has to do is not get in his own way.
First of all, I can't even believe this. You guys were there at the same time. Like, this is what's fascinating to me, because this is how you can see that photography can have so much translation to what's in someone's head and what their eye is, because that to me looks like a totally different time of day than when you were there, Roxy. And the fact that you were both there and see different things is interesting to me. I think what I love about the picture is that it's not cliche like a postcard. But, you know, at the same time, it's also like a real life picture of Google Maps. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you pull up 3D on Google Maps, you see that. But, you know, that said, I like that perspective.
Now, for your final challenge. You were both allowed to go out there, shoot what you want. You didn't have me breathing down your neck, telling you the time is almost up. You got to post-process your picture for as long as you liked. You could really do anything you wanted in New York City. So let's have a look at the picture that you selected that represents your style, what you do, without any limitations. Roxy, let's have a look at your picture.
When I first started shooting, I loved how things looked clean and classic and there were no mistakes. And for a long time, I tried to shoot that way and I just couldn't. It just didn't work for me. And so this is me. I mean, I just grabbed a model, threw my dress on her, my jewelry, and we went out on the street and I captured moments. And if I tried to set this up or make it look like it was staged, it wouldn't have been me.
So I come from the old school world. When I see this, it's everything against how I teach a model how to pose. I tell her, don't put your foot in the front. Don't put your head forward if your body isn't going to go forward, because your head will be the biggest thing in the camera. Make sure that your hair is not into your neckline, or we will not see where your neck and your chin ends. All the things I tell a girl don't do is in that picture. As a model, I would have wished you made me look beautiful. But having said all that, I will remember this photo. So you did, in the end, do your job. And I will remember that photo.
You got to go out there and do anything you want that represented you. And you said that this is the definitive picture of you and it's spontaneous. And I have to say I disagree. I don't think it's any of those things. I don't feel like it's you and I don't feel spontaneous at all. I feel like it's very set up. You become Scott. Like what Coco said, you had a list, you needed to do this, you needed to show this, and it doesn't feel like it's a moment.
So Roxy, it's tough. You are someone who's done very well in this competition. You are capable, and you've shown us over and over again that you are. Scott, let's have a look at your picture. First impressions, Joe, when you see this shot.
Somebody lost their list on the way to work. And I kind of like that. I like the composition of it. I like the movement and the energy in it, which is strange. I feel like you guys did a body swap, because I feel like while Roxy was very controlled, I feel like this is a moment. You know, so that's super interesting.
At the start of this competition, I was so methodical. I was dialing things down way too much that like I needed to. I was all up in my head, and that's normally not my style. And we were just having so much fun. The model's like, hey, I'm gonna stand on this pillar here. I was like, great, let's do it.
It is a very beautiful photo. I'm proud from where you've come. Now the critiquing. Think of things like hair. If there is not enough hair on a girl, it blows out from the back and it starts to look very stringy. Her hair is looking very stringy.
And when I see this picture of yours, Scott, I love this picture. It's a cool, dynamic shot. It's an advertising image that isn't necessarily about the hair or the dress or the place. I think is brilliant. And most importantly, it sells what you're capable of. You've both shot some incredible images. Roxy, throughout the competition, you've displayed a style, a look, a feeling that is uniquely Roxy. I could literally look at your pictures and say, oh, that's a Roxy picture, straight off the bat. Scott, you've struggled in this competition, yet you have maintained and you've come through. You know what you're doing. The thing is that will you always deliver? I know you have in the final image, but we need to consider your entire body of work on this competition. You both have weaknesses, you both have strengths. We're going to deliberate, and I'm determined to pick the right person to become first top photographer.
I was so emotionally and physically drained. Man, dude, going in, like, my mouth just completely, like, this desert in there. Like, I couldn't even talk.
So let's talk about our photographers. Both very different in their approach to photography, in their styles.
I think what I love about Roxy is the spontaneity. The best pictures that you remember are the ones where it's a moment because they're not planned. Because the minute you plan anything, it never comes out the way that you want it to. And I think she understood that. But it has to be sort of an effortlessness.
Never was the client thought of. It wasn't always about making the client look good. It was just about her and how she kind of wanted it, the effect on her photo.
But you are also booked as a photographer to shoot your style.
I love her first picture, not her last. So how is it that she can walk into this competition and just do something off the fly, not knowing what's going on, and be a great response with that picture? And then the last picture, where she can absolutely put her stamp on anything she wants, turns into a picture that I think doesn't even do her justice.
You killed it, like the whole competition.
Yeah, but what does it show? That the last day, do whatever you want, and I was like, here's not the best image you've seen.
So for me, Scott is such an interesting character. He takes beautiful pictures. There is a professionalism to him, but also that professionalism gets in his way.
I worry about that with Scott, you know, and I think from the very beginning, I was like, I think he's so caught up with what exactly that it has to be that you've lost what it's really about, which is the emotion of the picture. But I think by the end, he understood what that was.
It surprises me, though, he has a background of fashion, that he actually has been on shoots. Then I expect you to be a lot more savvy. Why didn't you know about cropping a hand out? Why didn't you realize about lighting? I don't quite see that he'd be on all these sets and not learn a lot more.
Aren't you happy about how you are now?
Oh, I'm so stoked. Like literally, like the change. No, yeah, I'm gonna be happy. Like regardless. I mean, it's just stressful.
Under intense pressure, is Roxy collapsing? Perhaps Scott's experience in the business is actually propping him up, and he's realizing now that I have to change and I have to learn. But is it enough? Well, a lot of tough decisions. But I believe we have our first top photographer.
I feel so good. Like, that's me. And so I'm so at peace with it.
As much as I deserve to be critiqued on those earlier images, I hope that they don't weigh too heavy in the judges' decisions, and that my final image, you know, the one that we ultimately, I think, we're working for, will weigh more in my favor.
Roxy, Scott, this was a very, very tough deliberation. It's very difficult to really break down a photographer's work and fully understand what their future looks like. This competition is called Top Photographer, and we are looking for our first top photographer. Now, you both have incredible style. You're unique, exciting to work with, but incredibly different. One of you will walk away with a $50,000 prize package and a gallery exhibition in New York City hosted by me of all your work. My personal career took off after my first exhibition in New York. That is the reason why this is in the prize package. I want to do for you what was done for me. But there can be only one winner. The top photographer is Scott. Congratulations.
I'm still in shock. The judges, they decided that I had won. I was a top photographer. I couldn't be more happy.
Congratulations.
It means so much, you guys, like really.
Yeah, I'm the only woman in this competition, and I made it to second place. I just want everyone to be themselves, and whether it's right or wrong, do your art for you. You know, at the end of the day, if you don't get that client, you're gonna get another that loves your art, that loves what you do, and I'm excited to see what comes of this and see all the people that hopefully this inspires. See y'all on the other side.
Hey, Mom, You're not gonna believe it. Guess what? I won. Can you believe it? I'm so happy. Hashtag blessed, that's it. I feel so blessed to be here. It had been my dream for so long. I'm gonna have a gallery in New York, like with Nigel Barker hosting it. Oh my God. 100% this has changed my life. But you cannot master the art of photography because it is ever changing and it's growing, just like an artist should be.